Will the next 15 days spell doom for crypto? Well, one trader certainly seems to think so. But I have a different opinion that I'm going to share with you in today's show. Over the last day, we have seen altcoins starting to bleed. We've seen a significant amount of red coming out of the altcoin market. And there's really one thing that I put this down to. The market was getting extremely overheated, and we needed a leverage flush out. If we do look at the leverage stats on CoinGlass, we can see that over the last 24 hours, $144 million has been wrecked. But if we scroll down, we could see that yesterday, over $262 million worth of longs actually got wiped, which was one of the biggest liquidation events that we've had since January. It was actually the biggest event that we've had since February 9th. But if you total up the 2 days consecutively, it is the biggest. So we've seen a huge leverage washout in the market. The market was getting very overheated. And we've also seen what I view as a bit of a de-risking ahead of earnings. We've seen some companies start to miss their earnings. We see Asian earnings starting to come out as well. And the Asian market has been a driver behind the crypto market in recent times. We've actually seen Bitcoin have some pretty nasty red candles during the Asian open, during the Asian sessions. We've also seen the stock market pull back just a little bit. What's interesting now is that the funding rates are starting to tick green on a lot of coins, which means a lot of people are starting to pile into shorts. So the market's kind of flipped long to short very quickly. This is typically what tends to happen in these crypto cycles where emotion takes hold. But my overall observation right now is this. So many alts now are kind of back to the levels that they were a couple of weeks ago. So that whole pump on many alts has essentially been erased. What's essentially been happening over the last couple of weeks for altcoins. Sorry, my video is playing in the background. What's essentially been happening over the last couple of weeks for altcoins is it's just been a rotation. No new liquidity has actually come into the market. So there hasn't been a catalyst for the overall market to increase its liquidity. Bitcoin is where most of the capital rotated into. And then we started to see like the signs of a capital rotation into altcoins. And a lot of meme coins started running. But basically all it is it's not new money coming into the market. It is just a game of hot potato, going from altcoin to altcoin, meme coin to meme coin. So this is really a rotators market. So it's a very hard environment to trade, but the way you make money in this market isn't necessarily just by longing everything, because net, you'll probably not come out ahead unless there's like active new capital coming into the space. It's better off identifying the trends, identifying the narratives which are performing well. Clearly, over the last couple of weeks, that has been meme coins. I think you've also seen some of the liquid staking derivatives perform well. That's something I've personally covered. You've seen certain sectors of altcoins perform really well. And even if we look at the crypto bubbles over the last week, there are a few standouts. You have OKB, the OKX exchange coin. Injective started to get a narrative. Arbitrum got an upbit bid. And if you were in these coins, even if you're in a coin that's down like a few percent, like GMX, you would actually still be better off versus the rest of the market because Bitcoin has gone down more than that. Because you got to remember, our goal as a trader is actually just to beat Bitcoin. Our goal is to just beat the market. It's not always just to make dollars. Sometimes you just want to preserve your portfolio relative to the rest of the market. At least that's how I like to view things, because long term, I have a goal of stacking more Bitcoin. Long term, I have a goal of stacking more Ethereum. So I use altcoins as a proxy to actually do that. So it's just been a rotational narrative game. And if you can nail that game, that's really how you can make money in this market. The days of kind of buying any altcoin and hoping for it to pump are over until there is a specific liquidity injection into the crypto market, a catalyst into the crypto market as a broader market, not just Bitcoin. Because we've kind of seen the market, although Bitcoin dominance did reverse, we've seen it start to come back just a little bit. And the tendency to rotate into like older L1s, older coins just hasn't quite been there. And that's something we typically see in like, your big altcoin cycles. But at the moment, we've kind of had these mini cycles instead. So that's my rough kind of feeling about where we are in the market right now. But we're going to get into the charts and kind of come up with a little bit of a game plan here. So when it comes to Bitcoin, for me, this is nothing really to worry about in terms of price action. We've been pretty patient over the last couple of days. If you've been watching the show all week, you would have known, especially yesterday, I was saying like, look, I'm not really buying. Apart from like a few select altcoin trades, I was pretty much not buying, and I remain the same. I still haven't entered any altcoins in a massive way. In fact, I've barely entered any altcoin positions at all. And the reason for that is because you have this key zone here that Bitcoin looked like it wanted to come down and test when it broke down in past the 29 support, and that is the 27.2 to a 28.3 zone. Now, the unfortunate thing about this zone is that it's quite big. So the problem with, I guess, leverage longing altcoins here is, since the zone's quite big, what can happen is Bitcoin can just come down a little bit more, and then you get stopped out, and then the bounce. So if you longed here, you'd get wrecked, or if you longed here and it goes down, wicks down, comes back up, you'd get stopped out as well. So it's a difficult zone to long, and that's why for me right now, I'm not using crazy leverage. I may look to use higher levels of leverage if there's like a really good altcoin setup. And at the end of the show, we'll get into individual alts. But in general, for me, this is more of a very low leverage slash spot zone that I can look to get into some strong alts. Emphasis on strong alts, not weak alts, not buying alts just for the sake of buying alts. It would have to be strong, and it would have to align with a very strong narrative in the market for me to want to buy it right now, just given that we have some uncertainty. And as I said, the 15 days of doom is something that, or 14 days of doom is something that a lot of traders are talking about. And we'll get into that into a second, and what that theory is, and give you kind of the worst case scenario there. But the market has flipped from bullish to bearish quite quickly. My timeline's gone from bullish to bearish quite quickly. But if you kind of zoom out and think about this, like in the greater context, many people wanted this dip. Like, I was looking back to maybe even last week or the start of the week when altcoins were pumping. There's a lot of people saying, damn, I'm sidelined, please give me a dip. And then the market finally dips. And now those people that really wanted a dip and were praying for the dip are now scared. So it's like, you got to have conviction at some point that if you wanted a dip and you wanted to buy altcoins, then you have to stick to that thesis and actually buy when it feels uncomfortable. And maybe you think we're going a lot lower, and that's okay too. But if you're really, really, really waiting for a dip, then why would anything have changed over the last few days? Because there hasn't been any news. The beauty of this dip is that it hasn't been really news driven. So there hasn't been like a fundamental reason. There have been a few like little reasons, like general de-riskings in the market and equities, but there hasn't been a fundamental crypto specific reason for the dip, which is actually quite good, because you can put the reason now down to the fact the market was getting over leveraged. Those kind of dips are the best. They can get nasty because you can get situations where people get wrecked on the long side. They flip short. We're already seeing the funding rate start to turn. We see squeezes to the upside. Those shorts get wrecked. And then we see continuation down, and it essentially wipes out both sides of the market. Those are the market conditions we're battling with right now, primarily because if you're trading the market right now, you're not trading shitty retail that you trade in the bull market. So in the bull market, it was very easy to make money because you're basically trading against noobs that were just going onto their Binance on their phone and just longing spot altcoins, or just leverage longing and not even know what they're doing on the app. Whereas now, it's a real PvP market. It's a trader's market. It's an experienced market because everyone trading now has been hardened. You have hardened traders that have gone through Luna, gone through 3AC, gone through FTX, and you're usually dealing with more experienced parties. And that's why it becomes harder to trade if you don't have retail coming into the market, which, I mean, a little bit did come in on the pump, but we didn't see a liquidity injection. And we can see that because if you look at the total 2 and the total 3, you actually, aside from Bitcoin, haven't really seen much of a movement there. It may have just been a slight rotation from Bitcoin into alts, but there was no like altcoin injection. It was mainly just Bitcoin pumping off a flight to safety narrative, and then a little bit of a rotation into alts. So it makes, in my opinion, this quite different from some of the other rallies that we've had in the past. Don Alt gives an update, which I think is a good macro update on the weekly chart for you guys, and lines up roughly with the levels I'm looking at. He says a close below 29.5 this week, and I'll assume the high of this rally is in, expecting 24k or even 20k if something extreme happens. So if we go into the weekly chart, just to zoom out and give us some broader context, he wants to see us hold above this level here at the 29.5 level. It probably could even close slightly below because I'm more of a believer in ranges, not so much like levels, but he wants to see a close above, or he thinks a local top is in. He expects 24k. I don't necessarily know. I think it's a genuine possibility. You see my blue zone here. That would kind of be your next level that you can look at buying really heavy. For me, this zone here, and this is just personal opinion, and it's not financial advice, of course, but this zone here for me would like maybe you want to take like a bit of a punt on alts, just given like it's kind of like your short-term support zone for Bitcoin where it like has to bounce. But if you get invalidated there, then very strong likelihood we come back down into this range, and that is your last level structurally, in terms of like where we're sitting from like a bullish price action perspective that we would need to hold for Bitcoin to continue, because that would be your higher low, and that would essentially still be a bullish trend, and I would still be comfortable buying there. You start to break down below there, and then of course range low comes into consideration. That would probably be an extremely news driven event. I don't know if that's a stock market sell-off or some big catastrophe, but that's your next level. Once again, don't know if that's going to happen soon. I did outline in my show yesterday that I think later in the year we are going to see this a relatively big sell-off. I don't know if it takes us to 18, but maybe low 20s. People gave me backlash for that, but that's just my opinion. I think the macro economy is looking relatively shaky, but in the short term, I'm not really worrying about that. I'm just trying to trade and look at lower levels for long-term accumulation and short-term levels for short-term money-making opportunities. And for me, you've kind of got this zone here, and then you've got the next zone in the 24 to the 25 zone, which would be the level that really needs to bounce. Don said if we got down to we could even get down to 20. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen within the next month. I don't think, or certainly not within the next 14 days. It's not something I'm really worrying about. I think a lot of the timeline is kind of overblowing this dip and kind of really starting to spread bearish FUD into the market. And this is just what happens. The market's very, very emotional. But Don says a close above 30 would look like indecision. Close above 32 would look good. I mean, you can kind of generally assume it like that, except I would draw this line in here. This whatever market zone he has laid out, I actually have as my range high from the previous range, which I don't think you can really ignore. So I've actually drawn this differently. I have my range high drawn in. Actually, something interesting as well on the Bitcoin chart is if you go to the daily and you look at your Bollinger Bands, you'll see that we're dipping into this mid-range section. This is typically an area that when Bitcoin does have pullbacks, we come and test before resumption. So that actually lines up quite nicely with my blue box to have like a retest. And we see something interesting. We're seeing the bands contract. So they're actually starting to condense into a very tight range. They're coming in like this. If you see like a Bitcoin test of the bottom of this orange zone, then that could be like a decent level from a Bollinger Bands perspective to actually long in the short term. And then, if we break down, then you get invalidated for a 24, probably like a retest of 24. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about Bitcoin. But of course, in terms of alts, which most of you guys are in, the game changes a little bit because it's a rotational game, which is relying on Ethereum and ETH BTC. So I want to get into alts. Just quickly though, Bitcoin USD showing an interesting fractal comparison to 2019. So we see that this is the 2023 rally, and then the 2019 rally. And we can kind of see that, we had like an echo bubble, saw a retracement, went sideways, and then resumed for, a huge trend in 2019. So that maybe looks like that's playing out in 2023. Not a huge fan of these. Let's mirror the past on the current chart and come up with like a prediction, because I just feel like market dynamics are so different. I feel like past cycles now are more irrelevant than they've ever been. And I guess people have said that every single cycle, but it's kind of strange to me that in crypto, you have like a data set of 3. So you've got like 2013, 2017, and 2021. And people come to some conclusion that, just because something's happened 3 times, it's going to happen again. Now, it's great for like references, and it's great to look at in terms of like getting some perspective on where we currently sit. But if you're a scientist and you were conducting an experiment, right, and you had like a bunch of like rats and you were testing for the way that they react to a certain drug, if 3 of the rats got sick after taking the drug, would you suddenly come to the conclusion that that drug is bad? No, because it's only 3 routes. Like, you need to test it on hundreds or thousands. You need to have a sample size of, thousands in the scientific world, and in trading as well. Some of the historical indicators you have for the stock market have been tested, thousands of times. So it's kind of funny to me as well that in crypto, we've had 3 cycles, a data set of 3, and we start to come to like these conclusions about Bitcoin has to do this because of this. Or Ethereum has to do this because of this. To me, I think we're in pretty unprecedented times. I don't think we have to stick to a halving pump. There's also people at Banter that think we will stick to a halving pump. I'm not saying that we won't. I'm just saying I don't think you can say it with any sort of certainty and assume that we're going to get a rally, later this year into 2024, and then a blow off top in March, April, like we've seen in previous cycles. I think the times have started to change a little bit, and we just have to be more adaptive. Now, that also can work in our favor, because we can see more explosive moves to the upside. We can see disproportionate moves to the upside, and it also gives us a chance to be a little bit more creative in the way that we trade, a little bit more like anticipatory in the way we trade. So I don't know, it's interesting, but that's just like me going on a tangent and getting a little bit distracted with my general thoughts. So for Ethereum, and then we'll get into alts and all that sort of stuff, what I'm seeing is us looking like we want to come down to range highs. For Ethereum, like, it really needs to reclaim 2K, especially if you go into like the weekly chart here. This is not like a great candle. We actually saw the Shanghai pump, and now we're starting to see a dump. On the Shanghai side of things, I don't think this is a Shanghai-driven sell-off. Actually, the ETH staking ratio is now higher than it was pre-Shanghai. So that's a bullish indicator for ETH staking, which is good. But yeah, we're now starting to see a bit of momentum being lost. Ethereum kind of rounding off at the top here and breaking below the 2K level. So for me, the next logical place is 1850 to 1880, that you do get a strong bounce. Of course, you start to break below here, and you're not only breaking a horizontal support, but you're also breaking the diagonal trend. This has been a general uptrend. You can see like higher lows being set for Ethereum. So actually still structurally okay. This would be our next structural level that we need to hold in order for Ethereum to maintain that trend. So for me, nothing really to worry about. I actually think it could be a decent buy in this zone here, because you're getting a zone with pretty good invalidation. You can invalidate below the previous low at 1826. And let's say you long pretty close to the bottom there, it's like a 2% invalidation. So even with the 10x leverage on a long trade there, you'd only lose 20% if you did decide to take it. So that's a trade that I'll take if we get down there. I don't know if we will, but I'm just monitoring this day by day. And if we do end up getting this downside that I want to talk about in a sec, because one trader has been saying that we will, then that's probably my next target, my worst case scenario for ETH in the short term. Of course, it can go even lower, but it's kind of just like real bear, like bear copium stuff, bear hopium, when you're looking at like even lower targets. For now, it would just be a bit rash. Interesting. This is actually quite interesting. Ethereum and Bitcoin, the ETH BTC pair actually rallied despite Bitcoin USD dropping. So what this means is that Bitcoin actually dropped heavier than ETH. You can see this on TradingView actually, with Bitcoin down 2%, ETH down 0.5%. So we actually saw ETH respond better during the dip. That's my indicator that if we do get a rally, I think ETH BTC continues here, because we still have like this looks like another higher low being set. So this level, hold this level. I still think we can make a higher high and push up to the 72 regions. That was actually good. I wanted to see that from ETH BTC. And also Bitcoin dominance. Yep, we did have a little bit of a push up, but on the daily, despite Bitcoin dropping, we actually saw 2 consecutive daily candles from the dominance going up before it pushed back down again today when Bitcoin dropped. So, we see red candle or black on my screen with the Bitcoin USD pair dropping, and then BTC dominance starting to drop back down as well. So Bitcoin actually sold off heavier than alts. And when I say alts, I'm more talking about Ethereum and the bigger caps. Obviously, a lot of small caps have gotten smacked over the last few days, but in general, dominance is actually continuing to trend down. So if we do get a push back up from Bitcoin, it could mean that the alts actually get bought a little bit. I mean, obviously, Bitcoin would push up because it would probably lead the rally, but given the fact that the trend has been downwards for Bitcoin dominance, alts probably do outperform on the next leg up, if there is one, if we do bounce. I'll get into that scenario in a sec. So that's also good for altcoins. So I want to get into this 14 days of doom theory before we get into that theory. And I'm laughing because, well, Ram believes it and I don't. So we're very split in terms of the banter hosts, in terms of what we think here. But that's why I want to present it to you guys. Before we get into that, I wanted to remind you that we have officially launched our ByBit Trading Competition. It starts in 5 days. So on April 26th, it starts. Disregard this countdown. That is when the competition ends. That's the ending date. The start date is on April 26th. So 5 days time, you can join the trading comp where the first person will win a Tesla or $40,000, your choice. The second person will win a Rolex or $20,000, your choice, or third prize wins 10,000 as well. If we scroll down to the matrix, we can see that there's also tons of prizes from 4th to 10th. It's P&L based, so the more percentage that you make, the higher you rank. Minimum 250 though, so it's based on a $250 minimum. So yeah, if you have a $250 minimum portfolio, you do a $25 trade, that's a 10% trade. Obviously you can trade more, but that's the minimum requirement. Then yeah, you can win 4,200 to 4,200 from 4th to 10th. And yeah, first can win a Tesla or $40,000. So it's pretty massive. It's one of the biggest trading comps we've ever done. I'm personally going to be taking part in it. And if you want to take part in it as well, sign up before it starts in 5 days' time by signing up using the first link in the description. If you click on this link, it'll bring you to the dashboard, and then you just simply click register and then log in to your ByBit account. And if you don't have a ByBit account, then you can also create one using that link. And you can also get a $30,000 sign-up bonus as well. So if you don't have an account, you can create one to register, or you can register with your existing account, as long as it's a Crypto Banter account. If it's another account, you don't qualify unless you're part of Gareth Soloway's community and you're trading on his link. So yeah, that is the terms with the comp. It's starting soon. All right, this 14 days of doom stuff is actually Maren. So it's kind of weird because the past few times she's called market movement, she's actually been right. Now, I'm not a huge believer in astrology. The analogy I made before regarding sample size and science probably holds true for this, in my opinion. Like, I don't believe that just because Maren says the market has dumped 3 times and it's actually dumped, or the market's pumped 3 times, it's actually pumped, that consistently she could be right long term, because she's wrong sometimes as well. It's just like when you go into the casino and you bet on red, and red comes up 5 times in a row. It doesn't mean that there's never going to be a black again. It doesn't mean that just because the last 5 spins were red, the next spin's going to be black, or just because the last 5 spins were black, the next spin's going to be red. That logic is stupid. It's called gambler's fallacy. And I feel like people listening to this, that's kind of what they're getting sucked into. But maybe you are into astrology, and maybe you do believe in this cautionary eclipse season narrative, which for some reason Rand believes in. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know if he's joking, but he did say this, and he did tweet about it. He said, "You keep fading Maren with your charts and trend lines. She's been the most accurate of them all. Called Luna, called FTX, called this dip." She did call the dip, actually. She said April 19th. And if we go into the Bitcoin chart, we can see April 19th. That's when we got this big red candle, or black on my screen. So look, we got this big dip here when she called it. I mean, yeah, it's hard to deny that she's gotten it right a few times, but I stand by what I said. I don't think she can consistently do it long term. But it made me think, all right, if she is right, if there is this eclipse season from May 5th, then what is actually going to happen to the Bitcoin price? Well, if you want to draw in May 5th, which is this vertical line here. In fact, I'm going to make it red because it's it's bearish. Let's make this line red. And this is obviously our major support line. Let's make this orange. Then if we want to draw in the Bitcoin trend, assuming it does hold its trend, then you would be targeting something like this. You would be targeting 26.5 on Bitcoin, which is like a 5.5% dip. And on ETH, you would be targeting this level, this range high. So interestingly, it does line up. Both are 5.5%. ETH's actually had dominance on the Bitcoin dip, so this actually does make sense for ETH as well. And it would still maintain structure even if it did come down to range highs, and even if Bitcoin did come down this low. I don't think it's going to happen just because Maren said it, but I'm giving you the information in case you want to believe it, because, we have to look at all possibilities in this market. In case you do want to believe this stuff, then 15 days of doom would probably end up looking something like this. And then you're going to get your bounce. I don't know, it could happen earlier, but this is general zone, 26.5 to 27 would be your bounce zone. And for ETH, yeah, similarly, it would be the 1850 to 1880 zone. So that's Maren's thesis, and that's what she sees playing out there. Timeless Being said the VIX, which is the volatility index, is at the lowest level in over a year, yet implied volume on the VIX paints a different picture. NASDAQ stalling into resistance, rotation to alts occurring. That was actually a few days ago. That's exactly what we saw, especially with the meme stuff. Bitcoin local top staring you in the face, cleansers coming. Yeah, I think for us to say the Bitcoin local top is in, we would have to look at it on the weekly chart, and we would need to close below this level. So yeah, this could definitely end up being a local top for Bitcoin at 31.1. It's starting to look like that could be the case. But to be honest, guys, we were into resistance the whole time. Look at this. This Bitcoin rally was up into like Pico resistance, and then we had a pullback. So it's very common of the market to get overly bullish into resistance and overly bearish into support. That's just the psychology of the market. A lot of people are starting to get really bullish here into resistance, and we got rejected. So it's not a huge surprise to me. We could bounce here and then start ranging between, these two, and then we use this blue line becomes mid-range. That could also happen. Or it could just be a much bigger range. We could come and test range highs. I don't know. I don't know. We just got to play it based on the daily levels and play it based on what the charts are telling us each day. Because if you're a trader, you got to be adaptive. You got to flow like water. You can't stick to a predetermined bias, or you're really going to get wrecked in the market. Another interesting thing is, like, obviously we saw the altcoins really starting to explode. We saw 𝗵𝗵 pumping. One guy turned $215 into 1.14 million on 𝗵𝗵. It was crazy. And it did feel a bit forced, like this shitcoin season. It felt like not a lot of retail was getting in, but a lot of desperate crypto guys were getting in out of pure desperation. The reason why I believe it happened is because a lot of people were sidelined. So this whole rally up, they were watching Bitcoin explode. ETH started ripping, dominance started flipping. They weren't in, ETH started exploding. So then when the market conditions were strong enough for them to go more risk on, they were really desperate to make their money back. So a lot of guys started rotating into meme coins as a way to try and make up for the gains that they missed by being sidelined. So a lot of crypto bros were, trending fade, Wojak, 𝗵𝗵, aped, PP, whatever it's called. Like, there's a million AI, 𝗵𝗵, like all of these stupid coins, AI robot and all this stuff. Shiba AI, like just putting AI in front of like a dog, Shiba AI Shib. And they were just pumping. And obviously 𝗵𝗵 is the main one. Actually, let's look at the 𝗵𝗵 price. Let's see what it actually ended up doing. It ended up going up to 126 mil market cap. I found this at 30, so it's been a 4x since I found it. And I don't mean I bought it. I didn't buy it, but I found it. I'll be honest. I wish I bought it, but not because. I mean, I don't even really care, to be honest. It's just so ridiculous. I don't really care. It would be nice to make a bit of free money, but you can't really fade memes when you see these rotations, but it started to look very toppy. It's very synonymous with market corrections when you start seeing like your blow off meme coin top. And that's actually what marked the local top for Bitcoin right now was the whole meme coin run. So it started to look a little bit weird. And I'm going to get into some altcoin setups at the end to kind of work out what I think the plan is. I've got two plans, which I'll get into. First, a bit of big news. Hong Kong recognized cryptocurrency as property. So that was actually quite a bullish announcement. So they're going to start treating cryptocurrency in trusts. So you can hold them in trust funds, just like you can hold property. So that's good. Hong Kong really opening the gates to crypto. We also saw a bit of other news, but my tab got removed, so it's clearly not that important if I removed it. Fabian said these days sentiment is more noise than signal in both directions. That's just how it is when retail's out. Markets are in crab mode. We have greater external forces at play. Learn to identify what to focus in every stage of the cycle as it's always changing. I'm really enjoying his tweets at the moment. I just find them good. So, all right, let's get into some market action now. So I'm blocked by the account that tweeted. So thank you, Owen1v9, to block me. I don't even know who you are, but clearly you didn't like my Twitter alpha. Fabian said from a trading perspective, he thinks, and the original tweet was referencing the fact we could get a bounce here. So Fabian says, I think we could get a bounce here too. From a trading perspective, we retrace fast, many alternate levels with easy invalidation and a well-defined risk reward to take for a quick swing. There are some decent setups out there. So this kind of lines up with the Bitcoin chart, right? If you are a altcoin trader, so I don't know what you guys are. Some of you are long-term, some of you are short-term. If you're a trader, you can try and scalp a bit of a bounce here. Now, this is something I'm doing with a little bit of cash. So this isn't big positions for me. This is scalps on some strong coins, which we're going to get into. So that's what you can do. If you're looking for bigger positions, to look for like this next leg to the upside, then you definitely want to be a lot more picky with your entries. You can, I think, DCA in this blue zone with invalidation below, with spot/low leverage, because Bitcoin could still hold this zone and resume to the upside. Invalidation would obviously, be a break below. Then you could look for bigger buys at your range highs. That's kind of my thoughts right now for the guys that go in a bit more so spot and not so much leverage. If you're a leverage trader, you definitely could take scalps on some altcoin bounces here. I think that's not a horrible thing to do, generally, because we have tested the blue box, we've bounced. It looks okay. ETH BTC is starting to reverse, which is good. As long as it holds above 6-7, dominance as well, coming down still. It's not a huge place to panic. It actually could be a place we get a bounce. And also funding rates starting to tick green again. So it's actually, you actually get paid to long now. So that's kind of your thesis for bouncing in the short term. For the coins that you long, you want to look at the alt BTC pairs to find relative strength. So you want to monitor whenever the market comes down, which coins hold up the best, because they often perform the best on the way up. Those are the ones that bounce the hardest. So alt BTC pairs can help us look at what the strong coins are. There are a few. Joe's one of them. I think this blue zone for Joe in the short term is decent. I'm just going to go through really quick and drop your alts in the comments as well. I'll see if there's a setup there. Doge actually breaking below its trend. So this isn't a leverage long. This is a spot long at 7.2. 420 happened. We saw the 420 pump, retracement pump again, and then dump. For me, this is just a level to wait and see if we go to the 7.3 region. This would be more of a medium term kind of hold if you wanted to buy Doge. So that's what I'm looking at there. For Solana looks to be breaking below this trend. It's not like the most convincing trend line, but it does have pretty like set horizontal structure. I would say this zone here, this 20 to 21 zone could be a decent place to buy. That's still a few percent down, so that's going to mean still 8% down. So that's probably only going to happen if ETH does end up getting that pullback to range highs. So that's your level there. Each coin looks different for its setup, right? So there are some coins you could probably take as a scalp relatively soon, like today, tomorrow, for like a short-term bounce. And then there are setups that are taking more time to play out that you're probably going to need to wait like a few days. And maybe even you're hoping Maren's right and that we do get this 14 days of doom so you can get your entries and then we can potentially bounce to the upside. But yeah, the bottom line is this: just because this is the local top doesn't mean that the market is like bearish again. It just means we're seeing a cool off, a liquidation cool off, and the market's just a bit tentative and waiting for like its next news cycle, its next catalyst to perform well. Injective, a coin a lot of people want to get into. This has been trending upwards, now starting to break momentum a little bit, which is good because I want an entry on this. So where would I get my entry? To be honest, the market isn't really giving us much. All I can say is below $7. And I think we look at Injective, but it's pumped too much. And and if you're looking at buying it long term, you still want to target like $3 to $4 in my opinion. But yep, that's my opinion on Injective. Let's look at some of the other comments. Still in my INJ short. Yeah, that one was probably a good short. Glad you're enjoying the content. Remember to smash the like as well. So drop your altcoins in the comments. We'll have a look at them. We'll go through them for the next 10-20 minutes. In the meantime, remember, it's not just ByBit we're doing a competition on for a Tesla. It's also OKX. And in fact, this one for the people that don't have as much money actually might be better for you. The ByBit minimum is 250, which I think for most people is okay. But for OKX, you can earn raffle tickets with $1. So obviously, the more you trade, the better likelihood you're going to have of winning the Tesla. But if you only had $1, theoretically, you could still win. So I gave away the Man City tickets yesterday on the show. I've left it in the hands of the Banter team to look through the email and pick the winner. When I get that information, I'll let you know. But the winner, I assume, has been picked by now. The 7 nights holiday to the Maldives for the $7,500 prize, I'm also giving away on my show in 10 days. So if you're trading over the next 10 days, you can build up volume for this. The reward is, the $7,500 or the tickets. And then obviously the big prize, the big $50,000 reward is going to be the Tesla. And that is on May 22nd. So things are starting to ramp up now. The OKX comp is bigger than ever because the first 3 weeks were smaller prizes. Now we're getting big, 7,500 and 50,000. So if you trade on OKX, and there's a link in the description, if you do want to trade, it's this one. If you sign up for a link and join the competition, all you need to do is deposit $1 and trade it to qualify for a raffle ticket. The more you trade, the higher chance you have of winning the Tesla. So you can build up raffle tickets. If you're a bigger trader, it might be worth doing. This isn't a competition. So it's not, you don't need to beat anyone. You're not competing for ranks. It's just a giveaway. You're just competing against yourself. You're competing against your own volume. It's not, it doesn't matter if you lose money, make money. Although I would highly suggest that you trade responsibly and don't use leverage you wouldn't normally use. This competition might make sense for you. And then, of course, we got the ByBit one as well, which is an actual trading competition. So if you fancy your skills and you think you can win, then this is potentially a way for you to, put that to the test and win a Tesla this way. So 2 competitions, both in the description. Pretty much the biggest giveaways we've ever done on the channel simultaneously. They're both close to $100,000 cumulative prizes. I think maybe like 150,000 cumulative, which is pretty insane. So, it actually is pretty damn insane. All right, a lot of people asking, this guy's asking for DYDX. We'll go through relatively quickly because I don't want to take up too much of your time today. I know my streams lately have been really long. I've got some great content on the weekend, good interviews, smart guys coming. And we'll definitely get into that. So DYDX, I think your best place for a bounce where you can have decent invalidation is 2.3 to 2.5. That is still another 10% away. As I said, some coins look better than others for setups. However, if DYDX breaks above on the daily and holds above 2.7, I think you can look for a bit of a push to the upside and then set your stop below. I would still set a stop even if I'm trading, maybe not spot, but low leverage, I would still set it. Someone asked for Gala. Generally, Gala hasn't looked good. It's very dilutive, this token, and the Gala BTC pair didn't look great last time I checked it. If I look at my BTC pairs, because they're really important right now to find relative strength, Gala still looks pretty bad. It's pretty choppy. So on the USD pair, I have this. I mean, it is technically an uptrend. So if we go into the 4-hourly, everywhere, onto the 4-hourly. Then your best bet's probably this level. So we're kind of in a range for Gala. This is actually like a pretty classic range structure. So, of course, we've had significant price action above and below, but in general, most of the price action, this is how ranges work, tends to happen within the range. Looks like we're at support level now, but it's a bearish retest. So I'm expecting price action in the lower area of this range And this would be your accumulation zone if that happens. So that's 3.9 to 4.1. But I wouldn't buy here. I wouldn't buy mid range. That's just what I'm seeing on the Gala setup. People are asking for Moon River. I mean, it is pretty. I mean, it's not like a huge coin. It's low liquidity. I don't know if there's any narrative driver behind it. It looks terrible. So this isn't a coin with relative strength. Typically, coins that dump like this, you don't necessarily know if they're going to be strong bounces. So that doesn't give me any sort of confidence. But the only way to really work out relative strength is to go move a BTC and line it up. And even this is making new lows. So I would avoid that for any trades personally, unless you're shorting. It doesn't have good setups. Aptos. Let's look at Aptos. Aptos is one that really had like a huge upbit pump. This massive pump to the upside. It was like a Korea pump. There's actually a meme in Korea. One Aptos equals one house. So like it was like a meme coin basically in Korea. You are approaching the bottom of a range. So that's not too bad. So you might be able to catch a bounce on Aptos. Let me look at the BTC pair though. So this looks good, but what I like to do as well is look at the ETH BT, the ARB. What am I doing? Aptos BTC pairs. So BTC. I mean, it looks horrible. What I prefer to see, and I don't know how we're gonna draw this in, but what I would like to see, maybe like this. What I would like to see is a momentum change. So yeah, you can buy, you can try and like time the bottom, but what I would just rather see is a break above, so a little bit of strength from Aptos Bitcoin. Then once we're starting to get a bit of a reversal on Aptos Bitcoin, then you want to line that up with your USD chart. And what actually would happen in this scenario, hopefully, if Bitcoin dips and Aptos holds, so you could actually get price action like this whilst Aptos is breaking on Aptos BTC. It may not happen. Aptos may just pump and that will be the reversal. But for me, I don't want to see, that's not the way I personally trade. I would actually like to see a Bitcoin pull back even further and Aptos hold relative strength. And that's where we get the Aptos BTC pump. And then I long Aptos. That would be, for me, what I'm looking for. So the thing with lines, bro, is that lines are just lines. They're not really like magical. Just because there's a line doesn't mean that is or isn't the level too long at or not. For altcoins, this kind of stuff is very like general because it's like, okay, this is the general range where I think we could bounce. If you really want good TA, that comes on the higher time frames. I'm talking weekly, monthly, daily, where you start to draw out these big psychological levels. Generally, price action adheres to this structure a lot better than like your 4-hourly diagonal trend lines, which are mostly just momentum indicators. So that's why it's just good to have like a mix of a few indicators. So yeah, if my line wasn't perfect, it's probably because it's not supposed to be. / I'm just doing it very quickly. Someone's asking, a lot of people asking for render. Okay, render looks finally something with relative strength. Thank you. See, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for coins with strength in relation to Bitcoin. So render BTC, pumping versus Bitcoin, render pumping versus Bitcoin. So this is the kind of coin, okay, it's got strength. Now, when are we going to get this pullback? Because this has been on like a bit of a moon mission. So if we go back to the USD chart, you've got, for me, this next level, still quite far away though. Yeah, I don't know if we come back down this far, but from a spot perspective, 150 I would much prefer. If you're taking like a short-term long there and you want to go into like the hourly and have a look at a bounce, then you can probably look in this range here, which is 1.7 to 1.78. Or even if we hold above 1.79. That's super short term. This setup's a bit choppy, so I'm not trading that short term. But I would look for a bigger pullback. No, you don't need to apologize, bro. I appreciate it. I was just kind of explaining why. I'm just explaining TA a little bit because, you know, there's this misconception when it comes to TA. And, like, I'm not a TA professional. I'm more of a narrative trader. So I know its trends are strong, and I'll correlate that with TA. A lot of people have this, like, misconception that TA is what's making the price move, or TA is, like, the line that they've drawn is why it bounced. It's like, no. It's like, should just be used as general risk parameters to get better entries, better exits, and become just, like, generally a better investor. By having some sort of, like, defined technical that helps you get better entries. So that's kind of what I use it for. Doge, I already went through earlier in the show. TLDR, we're waiting for that bigger dip. For now, it's lost momentum. Obviously, it's 420 today. Arbitrum, a few people asking for Arbitrum. This is actually a good one. So this has relative strength. This is one that if I think we're getting a bounce along. So the ARB chart. 131. Give me that, and I'm very interested. But, you know, it may not get there. Maybe something like this. Maybe something like this. I also want to say, and I said this yesterday, that I'm not buying long-term alts here. I'm just taking trades on the hope that there is, like, a resumption of trend for BTC, and, you know, ETH, although we're going to get these pullbacks, continues to resume in this uptrend. My long-term buys, they're happening on extreme blood days, and that's certainly sub 25k for Bitcoin, and it's certainly sub 16k for ETH. So yeah, my big buys are not now. My big buys were in November and December last year, and I've got proof of that. Not that you need it. Hope you trust me, but yeah, those were when my big buys were. And since then, it's mostly just been rotational stuff, rotating in and out of alts, just, trying to take advantage of shorter term pumps, this uptrend. But yeah, big adds to big long-term bags happen lower. It's not really a great DCA zone for alts. I would say for Bitcoin ETH, it's probably a bit better. Someone said 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗕. So this is actually not good for 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗕. So you had a local top. You've had this pump, and then you've made a lower high. So typically that means price tends to roll over. Where it rolls over to is the real question. I would say here. 555. So that's another 7%. I think Phantom has a similar chart. Yep, Phantom has a similar chart, of the local high. Actually did make a higher high here. So this would be my place for like a bounce for Phantom. 41 to 44 cents. Invalidation. 39. Rebuy. 32. For a trader. And I'll probably end up doing all of these on the trading comp. So the ByBit Trading Comp in 5 days, probably I will do a lot of these trades live. Let's see if they're profitable. I'm much better at trading, and I've learned how I personally trade over time. I'm much better at trading a lower leverage. I'm not really the best scalp trader. I'm much better with general support buys, or big breakouts of like key levels. I'm much better trading that way than trying to like do short-term scalps. That's probably why you'll see me on higher time frames a lot, because I just prefer that. Whereas you'll see Sheldon on the 15-minute chart. I don't know. If that works for you, it works. I don't really have the time or the patience to like sit by the charts all day and wait for 15-minute setups. 14 Days of Doom is from the moon phases. We talked about it earlier. It wasn't clickbait. Maren thinks so till May 5th. I actually outlined, if we do get this 14 Days of Doom earlier in the show on May 5th, that would probably line up with like a 26, not 65. I wish it was 65K Bitcoin. 26.5K to 27K Bitcoin. Are you wearing the same clothes as yesterday? I am, but I don't wear this all day. What I usually do is I just like put this on, and then I get into other clothes if I go to the gym or, depending on what I'm doing. And then I'll, just put the shirt on for the streams. It is an OKX shirt and I like it and it matches the hat. So I don't know. It's like my streaming attire. But, good reminder to wear different clothes on stream or people are going to think you're some like slob. I'm the opposite of a slob. I get told I shower too much. So I love showers. I think I shower like 2 or 3 times a day. Maybe it's a waste of water, but I don't know. I love it. It's relaxing. So I'm pretty much the opposite of a slob. But yeah, I'll make sure to have a new shirt for you next time. All right. Last thing, 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗏 strategy to buy on double-digit reds really good. Yeah, bro. Especially long term. Like you want to just wait for those super red days. We are getting a red day now, but it's more of a red day that you'll look to catch a short-term scalp on, like for a bit of a short-term bounce, not like a long-term bag. It's just my opinion. Though Rand's now bearish because he thinks Maren is going to be correct. So if Rand's getting bearish, then maybe that's like a counter signal. Maybe we should long because he is usually very bullish. So when Rand gets bearish, you know that that's probably the time to buy. Is this the 𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗕𝗏𝗏? Is this what you want me to chart? I don't know anything about this fundamentally. So all I can tell you is how it's looking price-wise, which I would say is relatively... I'm just doing a rough trend line. I know it's not perfect. Relatively strong. So you do have like your swing lows, your higher lows. We actually did see deviation below and then resumption of trend. Pretty good test. So yeah, your pullback zone would be this zone for a buy at 9.6 to 10.5, I would say. Horizontal structure, you've got... This is probably more important, to be honest. You've got this level as well. So the ideal scenario for this would actually be to just hold off for like a week and hope that you get some sort of like pullback to this zone in here. Maybe by like May 10th soonest. I mean, it's 2 weeks away. It's kind of maybe a little bit long for you if you're an aper, but I don't know. That's just what I'm seeing. I'm not going to aper to a position. Because I'm feeling FOMO. I don't even know what that does, but yeah, that's my opinion on that for you. That's kind of scary, actually. Yeah, when Rand goes from bullish to bearish, I mean, it's not scary. It's actually it probably is like a local bottom signal. It's the opposite because when Rand is so bullish usually, because he just loves crypto. He lives and breathes crypto. He believes crypto. He has so much conviction in these bags. The second he gets bearish, it's like almost, if it's getting to him, it's getting to retail. So I don't know if he's just starting to like preempt things a little bit more now. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like almost for me like a signal that we're just going to get a short-term bounce. This ETH. This is very interesting from ETH. The amount of people trading meme coins on the ETH network has resulted in like a huge supply burn for ETH. Massive. I'm just going through my feed, seeing if I can find anything. Rad says, whatever you do today, give 100%. Really good advice, actually. That gave me the kick up the ass I need to not go to sleep after this. Encouraging to see that dominance is not increasing. The bounce will be epic for alts, but first one more shakeout. Look, I agree. Yeah, the fact that dominance has not increased and ETH BTC actually increased is very good for alts. It means that the market still likes alts versus Bitcoin. We just need to see Bitcoin find its low because alts still rely on Bitcoin, right? He thinks one more shakeout. Maybe. Look, if Maren's right, then we get one more shakeout. If not, we probably bounce relatively soon in my blue box. Here. So, I mean, maybe this could be the shakeout rounds talking about. It's like a 2% move, 27.3, and then bounce. Not a horrible idea. Largest long liquidation event this year yesterday. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Would you be surprised if we went back to lows? Why can't it happen? XO, you're a bear, bro. Too much of a bear, bro. He loves this bear posting. But look, I actually wouldn't be surprised, but I would say Q3, not now. Still can be a rally and then a dump later. Just make sure you take your profits if we pump again. Next low will be oversold, then we'll bounce. Yeah. I think, a lot of the guys are saying, we're going to get a bounce. A lot of the smart guys. How much? 𝗕𝗲𝗕𝗏𝗏. Everyone's lost their 𝗕𝗆𝗕𝗏𝗏. Is this? I thought it was 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. A lot of guys have lost their blue ticks. Even Rand did, because I don't know. I think they're making like people reapply and pay. How much money do you think you need to live and retire luxuriously? Depends what country you're in. So if you're in Thailand, probably like $2 or $3 million. If you're in Australia, probably to live luxuriously, which means like, business class travel, holidays, nice house, kids to private school, holiday home. I'd say here you need upwards of 10 mil US minimum, maybe 15 to 20 if you really wanted a nice life. But if you really want to travel and earn passive income, I'd say 10 mil in Australia. But this is like a very developed, expensive country. America, I'd say it's similar. I'd say 5 to 10 mil. She's saying luxuriously though. Obviously, you can retire on 3 mil, but you wouldn't be living luxuriously. I think 4 mil probably isn't enough, lady, unless you're in like a Thailand or something. We're just scrolling through the feed here. Real rubbish content on Twitter today, I'll be honest. This is just like, the For You thing's stupid. You guys should just use the following tab. For You just gives you a bunch of rubbish. Okay, now I'm just getting at Drake meme ads. YouTube shills. Kidding, love you, Jason. Sensitive content. What's happened to Twitter? What is this? What is this? More ads. Like, this is just like, this is not the place for alpha. I need to use my alpha list if I want alpha. Then I'll get actual alpha. That's what I recommend, creating alpha lists on Twitter. I recommend. Cool. I'm going to head off for the day because I'll see you tomorrow. So I'm going to I'm doing an interview tomorrow. So it's actually one of the best interviews I think I'm ever going to do. I met this guy at the F1. He is a very big, I'll keep an element of surprise, but he's, one of the big guys in the crypto space. You may not have heard of him, but he has many interesting theories on the future of AI, how it can impact the world and the crypto industry specifically. He also has a theory on who Satoshi is, which blew my mind. It was crazy. And I was like, holy shit. It sounds crazy, but I don't know. It could have some plausibility. And he was just generally like, after watching it, you'll become a Bitcoin maxi. But he's also like not the most bullish on alts. So I don't know if this is going to like trigger some of you or me, but the Bitcoin thesis, I 100% agree with. And it's really, really interesting to get that perspective. Although I do believe generally if Bitcoin succeeds, alts succeed, you just probably see like sector outperformance. And obviously many alts go to 0, 90%, 99% don't succeed. But you will probably see enough of a rotation into the best alts to get outperformance in some sectors. It's just going to be about picking those sectors. It could be DEXs, could be gaming. We'll get an idea of those trends as they develop. But, long-term Bitcoin 100K plus is, I would say, reasonable, especially if the world keeps trending like it is. Or maybe even higher. Kathy would say, 500K plus. But I'll ask in the interview tomorrow for that thesis. It will be great. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow. And until then, good luck trading. Remember, if you want to enter the trading comp, you've got 5 days to sign up. So you can register using the link in the description, or if you're impatient, then you can already start qualifying for a Maldives holiday or $7,500 using the OKX giveaway. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Have a good day.